Hey everybody, Grandmaster Ben Feingold here. The U.S. Junior and U.S. Junior Girls Championship just ended yesterday. And yeah, Caden Trofe was in first place the whole tournament. And then the last round wasn't kind to him. He lost the last round to Mika Brittain. And Awonder Liang won against Michael Brown. So Awonder overtook, and he won the tournament with 6.5 out of 9. I think he got 5 wins, 3 draws, and a loss. I think that was Caden's only loss, if I'm right. So he had 4 wins, 4 draws, and a loss. So Caden got second. I was working a few weeks ago with Talia Cervantes. She played in the girls' junior. She was the local participant. She lives in St. Louis. And she did really well. She got 5 out of 9, tied for third, and she was, by USCF, the lowest rated player by quite a bit. So she gained about 30 rating points and had a good tournament. And she finished with 3.5 out of her last 4. So that was good for the local participant there. Well, I think a long time ago, I made a video for the St. Louis Chess Club on Awonder. That sounds like something I would do. Anyway, Awonder is a lot stronger basically every year. He lost to Tony Rich when he was 8 years old. Tony is the executive director of the St. Louis Club, about 2,100 rated. And, well, in the last 5 to 6 years, Awonder has gotten about 900 points better. So Awonder is about 2650 USCF now, I think, and he's the U.S. Junior Champion. So he'll play next year's U.S. Championship, which will be a really nice tournament. Anyway, this is, I'm sure this is one of Awonder's favorite games. I haven't talked to him about it, but I was looking at his games from this year. This is a game he played in St. Louis in one of their GM tournaments. I was at all the GM tournaments except for one. This is the one I wasn't at, so I didn't see this game live, or I wasn't there. But I try to look at almost all the Grandmaster games, especially from St. Louis. Okay, so Awonder has the white pieces against Aleksandr Lenderman, who's been one of the top 20 American players for probably the last 8 years or so, and probably even top 10 for much of the time. I don't know if he's top 10 anymore, but if he's not, he's close. Okay, so Awonder's white, and they played a 2 knights Caro-Kann. And in this position, black can play bishop h5 or bishop takes f3. Bishop takes f3 is more common. And then e6. Black can also play knight f6. And here, white usually plays sort of boring, slow, d3, g3, bishop g2, bishop d2, and just eventually hopes that his 2 bishops will win the day. But Awonder played more aggressively, played d4, which is usually a pawn sacrifice, and it turned out to be in this case, because often you lose the d-pawn. So knight f6, white can still play e5 and get some kind of French position where the bishop on c8 isn't there. This is the big advantage of the Caro-Kann. But okay, instead he just played bishop d3 and said, take my d-pawn, and Lenderman did take it. And white castled. So white has a lead in development in the 2 bishops, and black has an extra pawn and is pretty solid. So the position's about equal. Okay, knight takes c4, bishop takes e4, knight d7. These are all very reasonable moves. Bishop f4, developing his bishop. And these are the kind of positions I have black in usually. I'm up a pawn and I'm struggling to not get mated. And usually I'm pretty good at that. But, usually I'm not playing top 20 players in the world. If I was playing some strong attacking player who was 2,700 feet or above, I'd probably just get crushed. Okay, so Lenderman played rook c8, which is okay. It's not really necessary, but obviously, he's getting worried about this diagonal and his king is in the center. So bad stuff could potentially happen, so just making himself safe. Okay, rook d1. And now Lenderman played queen f6. I was analyzing queen takes b2, which looks really dangerous. And the computer agrees. Rook takes d7, king takes d7, queen d3 check, king e7, rook d1, threatening queen d7 check, winning the rook. And the computer says the best move is king f6, which usually that's not a good idea. And then I think the computer said bishop e3 with the idea of playing bishop d4 check, forking the king and queen. And it said something like +2 for white, so it thinks white has a winning attack. That's not hard to believe. Okay, so Lenderman played correctly with queen f6. Rook fe1, Morphy style, getting all of his pieces into the attack. So again, white has 2 bishops. White has pawn minus, but he has a lead in development. His king is safer. So I think very few grandmasters would want to have black here. This seems like, even though if 2 supercomputers were playing, probably the game would be a draw. To me, this seems very difficult to play black. And the negative for black's position is if he totally thwarts white's attack and somehow makes several moves in a row and castles and gets his pieces out and everything's great, still probably not winning. Probably just better because white has the 2 bishops. So since black can't do any of that, it seems pretty difficult to play black to me. Okay, so knight c5, which again is okay. Queen g3, unpinning the bishop on f4. We want to trade queens. And queen takes b2, which is actually okay. It's hard for black to develop his bishop and castle because bishop e5 is always coming. So he might as well be 2, 3, 4 pawns up. Bishop f5 is an excellent move, trying to punish black for having his king in the center. And again, the computer says black is probably okay, but it's just too hard to play black here. There's a lot of possibilities for both sides, and white just has a permanent initiative. Okay, he played queen takes a2. Now he's up 3 pawns. That's a lot of pawns. And Awonder played a very nice move here. Normally you don't want to trade pieces when you're attacking and you're down a lot of material, but bishop d6 is nice because the bishop on f8 is defending the g7 pawn, so it's difficult to trade on d6 because g7's hanging right away. Also, if you trade on d6, I take with the queen, you still can't castle and your knight's hanging. Probably both are good for white. And the idea is to remove the defender, so if it was white's turn, white could take the knight, and then when the bishop captures, the g7 pawn is again hanging. So, and there's other things that white can do also. Okay, so black decided to play queen a5, and the idea is if you take the knight on c5, which you did, you take with the queen, and the bishop on f8 is defending the pawn on g7. Makes sense, but that's what happened, and that's removing the defender. The knight on c5 was defending the e6 pawn, so Awonder correctly sacrificed. Obviously, he had this in mind when he played bishop d6. And wow, white's down a lot of material. White's down a bishop and a pawn, but again, he has all his pieces attacking, and it's difficult to play black. Now, there's 2 moves to consider here, bishop e7 and king f7. King f7 was not played, but if he does, then after something like rook e4, just saving the rook, rook d7, well, rook d7 check is a pretty ominous threat, and I don't really know what to suggest for black. Yeah, I think the computer says that white's already winning here. One of the problems is queen b3 check is coming a lot, and the king can't really hide anywhere. And even though white's down a piece, I mean, these haven't moved yet, and it's hard to believe the rook on h8 is ever going to move. So Lenderman decided to get his king to safety. He played bishop e7. And the engine here wants Awonder to play rook e5 to try to make the queen move off the bishop. Okay, and also, if black castles or plays rook f8 at some point, then f2 is hanging with check, sort of an extra tempo for black. In instances where white's playing queen g7, which seems sort of a normal move. So rook e5 tries to get the queen off of the bishop on e7 and off the pawn on f2. So it's not clear what black should do here. The computer really likes white here. But Awonder played sort of the obvious move, doubling rooks on the bishop. And now, Lenderman played a move I think most of us would play. And it turns out it's bad. It's the safest move, but it doesn't work. So I think the computer wants to play either g6 or rook f8. I mean, that's hard to do here with your king on e8. And the reason he played bishop e7 was to get his king safe. And again, we're not engines, we're humans. And finally, black got his king safe. But unfortunately, he's not ahead much material anymore. He's ahead a pawn. White's threatening mate in 1. And the b7 pawn is also attacked. So it looks like black should be okay by just defending mate. But white has too much initiative. And in this position, I don't want to say that Lenderman made the losing move, because he might already be losing, but this is a really bad move. He has to play the move g6, and I understand not wanting to play g6. That just looks terrible. After g6, I think the computer says something like 1.2 for white, sort of on the verge of winning and drawing, probably winning. After g6, black's king really isn't ever going to be safe, and b7 pawn's attacked, and white's rook is on the 7th. Black's rook on c8 isn't very good. White's king is permanently safe. So I wouldn't want to have black there. Okay, Lenderman blundered. He played rook f7. It seems like trading pieces is the way to stop mate. But unfortunately, his king gets even more exposed. It's a very forcing variation. Rook takes f7. And I don't know if Lenderman missed this move or he misevaluated it. I'm not sure. Or maybe he misevaluated g6. Also possible. And so he decided this was better. Man, this isn't better. This is just over now. So you can pause your video if you want and try to find the winning move for white. Give yourself about a minute because it's not so easy. Okay, and actually I mentioned this earlier in another variation. White plays queen b3 check. And this is devastating because you can block with the queen d5, but queen takes b7 check wins your rook. So this is an unfortunate threat. You can't keep your king and rook here because you're going to lose one. So he has to move his king. Yeah, you can't go to f6 or g6 because you probably get mated, but queen e6 check at the very least wins the rook, so king f8 is forced. This is all very forcing. Queen e6 threatens the rook. And maybe Lenderman saw this, maybe, when he played rook f7, but he didn't see white's next move. That's what I'm guessing. So he played the really obvious rook to d8. I can't think of a more obvious move. The rook's attacked. It can't go to c7 because of queen e8 mate. Rook d8 makes more sense than rook b8 and rook a8. So, okay. Yeah, rook d8. And maybe this is the move that he missed. Without this move, maybe black's okay. Maybe. So, okay, pause your video. What's the winning move for white? Okay, and it's a double threat, basically. He plays rook e5, and he's threatening the queen, and he's threatening rook f5 check. And the only way to stop both actually allows something else. And I wonder if he saw that, and he was just being funny. I don't know. So you could resign here, because when the black rook moves off the first rank, we have queen e8 mate, and if you don't move your rook off the first rank, you're just going to play rook f5 check. So for example, well, I mean, there is no example if the queen moves rook f5 check. So he tried to do something, and I don't know if he was kidding or just missed it. I'm not sure. He played rook d1 check, and he pinned the rook and saved his queen, stopping rook f5 check. It does everything you want to do, except it hangs mate in 1. If it didn't hang mate in 1, it'd be a pretty good move. Yeah. So, yeah, but here I don't have anything to suggest. If you don't pin the rook the way he did, I'm going to play rook f5 check. So you can't play rook d5 here with the same idea of saving the queen and stopping rook f5 check because they're the same mate. So this would be a good time to resign, but I guess I actually like seeing checkmate on the board. So that's, okay. Less confusion for the audience. And that's the way the game ended. That was a very nice game from Awonder. It's the kind of game that you expect from a young person. They play tactically, sacrifice, attack the king. And that's not really Awonder's MO. He wins in a lot of different ways. He wins a lot of long end games. He can defend and win by his opponent going overboard. And I think Lenderman wins a lot of different ways too. And Lenderman was also a very strong junior player. And I guess people just get older because I remember Lenderman when he was 15, 16, 17 years old. He was the world under-16 champion. And I think he's in his late 20s now. So I remember stuff from a long time ago. I think Awonder's 14. He's the reigning U.S. junior champion. He won yesterday. Playing the U.S. championship next year. And he's one of the top, I would say, 15 players in the United States. So he may do well next year, probably by, 8 or 9 months from now when they have the U.S. championship. Awonder's going to be even better. So wouldn't be surprising if he and Jeffrey Zhang are soon fighting for dominance of the U.S. junior scene. Unfortunately, Jeffrey Zhang and Sam Sevian didn't play in the junior, but it was still very strong. But nice tournament victory for Awonder, a nice victory here against Lenderman. I hope you enjoyed that video. We're going to have our own video channel at our chess center in Atlanta, and again, we'll start in September. It'll be very professional like the one in St. Louis. We're going to have like a video camera, and we're going to do split screen, all that stuff that we do in St. Louis, which I don't know how to do. But my wife and her son are pretty good at that, and we'll find somebody else that can help. So maybe the first couple of videos will be suspicious, and then they'll be pretty good. So we have a lot of members so far. I want to thank some of you if you've joined. We have some family members. I think over the last 48 hours, we have 11 members of the chess club now, which is more than one. We had a guy that we knew about 3 months ago. He cornered my wife at a chess tournament and paid her money and said, I want to join your club. I want to be the first. So that was nice. Now we have 11 members. So now we can do some more construction and stuff. We have our chess clocks. We have our chess sets. We know what tables and chairs we're going to buy. We have one of each and we like them. Now we have to spend a lot of money buying more. Okay, so go to atlchessclub.com/donate and go to our new membership page, which you'll see in the notes here, and join the club. And please come to our club on the grand opening September 9th. Free food and drinks for everybody. It's from noon to 6. And from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock p.m., we're having a blitz tournament. It's not rated. You don't have to join the USCF or anything. It's going to last about 3 hours, and we're probably expecting 40 to 50 people, and we have good prizes. So come on down for our grand opening and blitz on September 9th. Go to our website, follow me on Twitter and Facebook, like and subscribe here on YouTube, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.